Hey guys, I'm going to be reviewing a fragrance that I think is one of the best fresh niche fragrances out there, and just a gorgeous scent for warm weather. You could really wear this anytime, but I think it just has such a refreshing quality that it really is the perfect summer fragrance, or kind of a spring or transition weather kind of fragrance. And that is Frapin's L'Humaniste. And if you heard about this fragrance, then you may know that it gets compared to the popular Allure Homme Edition Blanche by Chanel. And when I reviewed that fragrance, if you've seen that review, you know that I called that one uninteresting and really considered it to be an overhyped scent. Now this one, totally different story. It feels to me there's definitely a similarity here. It's really, really hard to ignore the familiarity when you first spray this, and you'll be reminded of Edition Blanche, but totally different game in my opinion. This is a class above, definitely. It just feels like the more completed, also more complex and a richer version that smells higher quality as well. Now, I don't think that it necessarily is stronger in terms of the longevity, but I think there is definitely a difference in the richness of the ingredients. So it's interesting that it gets compared to Edition Blanche, because when you look at the notes, they seem quite different. This fragrance, L'Humaniste, is all about the gin accord. And this gin accord, it does perfectly. And if you look at the notes for Edition Blanche, there is no specific gin or juniper berry note. In fact, it's of course lemon, sandalwood, and vanilla, and those are the main notes there. But there's a reason why this smells similar, and I think this smells also better. So when you first spray this, it definitely has this watery, fresh kind of quality. And juniper berries, I think, and the overall gin accord here kind of plays a similar role as the sandalwood. There's this kind of herbaceous, sharp quality that makes this aromatic and really gives it that refreshing pop, like opening a can of soda, that sort of fizzy pop. Now, I don't like fragrances that kind of accentuate that too much, where it's just too kind of sparkly. This one manages to be bright while retaining this depth. And here, instead of going into a woody direction, this fragrance uses oak moss, and you get this kind of dry base that's, I think, more interesting and just works better with the juniper berries here. So you get this really, really juicy kind of scent. And of course, the similarity to Edition Blanche is coming also from the top notes, which use lemon. And so you get this really juicy lemon, but I like that here they don't use vanilla to draw out the sweetness. Instead, they've got tonka bean and cardamom. And so you get this kind of more kind of deep, a little bit earthier kind of sweetness that balances the really effervescent quality of this fragrance. And then you have this black pepper. And so the black pepper, I think, adds even more to this kind of sparkle that this fragrance has. So overall, black pepper and pink pepper actually as well. And so you get this peppery tone. Yeah, so you get basically this very, very nice fruity opening, somewhat sharp and refreshing, and that is the gin accord and the juniper berries creating that. And then this intriguing kind of just a touch spicy element from the cardamom and the pepper. So you get this kind of aromatic kick, I would say. And it's different also from Edition Blanche, in that Edition Blanche is more focused on, I think, the woody accord. And when I reviewed that fragrance, I mentioned that the sandalwood note is quite prominent in there. And so, you could say that fragrance it feels a little bit more masculine and also a little bit sportier, whereas this is one of those more unisex kind of scents. I don't think that it's very masculine necessarily, but just a perfectly unisex scent. And actually, it reminds me a lot of, in general, fig based fragrances. So the juiciness that's in here, that's from the lemon and the bergamot, and then the gin, actually reminds me a lot of the fig fruit. So fig fragrances go in different directions. Sometimes you have fig fragrances that actually, a lot of fig fragrances create that initially really juicy top note, and then they kind of bring in this leafiness or a little bit of a more bitter vegetal kind of quality that's really unique, I think, to fig. Here, it's just that fruity aspect that's similar to fig, without the kind of more milky or green kind of feel that you get from fig. What is also, I think, making this one kind of more uplifting is this note of peony. And I believe that from what I read, the peony doesn't have a smell. It's a fantasy note. From what I've seen the note used in a couple fragrances, and that along with orchid, I think, are somewhat similar. They both have this kind of fresh floral quality. So in comparison to Edition Blanche, this one feels just a touch more floral in a good way. I think it's what makes this scent feel more complex and interesting. And so you get this kind of watery floral note with a bit of an herbaceous quality, a pop that's coming from the juniper berries and the pepper, and overall a fruity scent that's kind of on a bed of a mossy tone. Okay. Yeah, and it's one of these kind of 4 to 6 hour longevity fragrances, and I don't think that that's bad at all, especially for summer scent where you might sort of you don't necessarily want a scent that's so heavy, and also I think it was kind of unavoidable in this case because if you think about the base notes, they've removed any notes that might sort of, I think, taint the freshness of this fragrance. And I think that was a good direction that they took, really drawing out the top notes, the parts that are really, really likable and pleasant in Edition Blanche, the lemony top, and in this case, the kind of really nice gin accord that gives it a little bit more effervescence, peppery kick. So all this to make this fragrance kind of wear more refreshing. And I think for how refreshing and it is, it actually performs quite well. It's a very rich feeling scent. And again, that's because of these other notes like oak moss and tonka bean and cardamom, which are just kind of supporting notes here. So I think this is really an amazing fragrance. I didn't mention much about the house Frapin. I don't think I need to. You guys probably have heard of it before. It's a cognac brand. Yeah, so I think this is one of the best fragrances I tried recently. I think it's certainly worth the hype that it gets in the community, especially among lovers of niche fragrances. And also, I got to point out, the price actually is pretty good. It may seem expensive. This whole 100 ml bottle comes in at $165 retail, and it's hard to find this discounted. So let's say that you're paying that retail price. It's really only $40 more than the same size of Edition Blanche, and I think that you get a lot more for your money here. I don't like saying things like it's cheap for a niche fragrance or expensive for a niche fragrance. I think niche is kind of an arbitrary label, but I think the question is, do you get your money's worth with this fragrance paying $165? I think you get, this is an amazing value for money. What you get here is absolutely worth $165 because you'll be enjoying it, I think, that much, right? And 100 mils like this lasts a long time. So if you think about all the kind of enjoyment that you're gonna get from wearing it, I think you'll realize that it's not such an expensive fragrance, especially for one of this kind of quality and uniqueness. So check it out, Frapin's Lumaniste. All right, I'll see you in the next review. Bye.